And next on stage, we are going to have an accomplished entrepreneur and technology enthusiast who is also the co-founder and president of APAC of Uniphore, one of the largest B2B AI native companies, built for scale and designed for the enterprise. As the leader of IT and InfoSec, JAPAC sales, delivery, and customer success at Uniphore, he plays a pivotal role in shaping the company's growth, vision, and commitment to delivering exceptional solutions. He possesses an unwavering belief in the transformative power of AI and a steadfast commitment to creating solutions that empower and amplifies it. His journey in the technology sector has been marked by a series of notable achievements and contributions. He was awarded as the top 40 under 40 changemakers and entrepreneurs in 2020 by Business World. He brings a plethora of experience in leading technology teams across a diverse range of initiatives, including mobile theft security, wireless network development, and mobile learning applications. Notably, he is an active member of the Mobile Payment Forum of India. Please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Ravi Saraogi, co-founder and president of APAC of Uniphore, to deliver a keynote on disruptive technologies illuminating the path to our future. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. It's gloomy outside, but I'll try to sort of cheer up the room a little bit by sharing our experiences of building Uniphore over the course of last 15, 16 years. But thank you for all the kind words, right? I did not realize that I have spent so much time in doing so many things, but it still feels day one and the excitement remains the same. Now, I've been told to speak about deep tech B2B AI companies or deep tech B2B companies in India and how they can be taken global, and sharing that entire sort of piece through our journey that we have lived over the course of last 15, 16 years. So let me start by just sharing how we started this and where we are right now, and then over the course of last 15, 16 years, how we have seen our journey, and then share some anecdotes, what I believe potentially can be beneficial for other B2B deep tech companies who are based out of India. So Uniphore started back in 2008 out of the incubation labs of IIT Madras. Right? Between my other co-founder and I, we finished our college. And the idea was to start something of our own, but back in 2007, 2008, the startup ecosystem in India was extremely nascent. In fact, the name startup itself was not coined back then in India. Right? And we started this, we came to know about an incubation process that IIT Madras had. And that sort of got us here. And then we started working on a couple of ideas under the tutelage of Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala, a famed professor at IIT Madras. And through working of those projects, we got to a stage where it gave us an opportunity to really build and sort of come up with a new age deep tech setup, which is now called Uniphore. So when we started the company, right, both I and my other co-founder, we are B.Tech in computer science. So technology runs deep in our DNA, right? By heart, by brain, by thoughts, we are deep tech guys. But as we started building the technology, right, we also came to realize that to crack some of the things that we are trying to crack in the context of India, it will not be easy. We came up with our initial tech capabilities, which was in the voice space, right, which is related to voice AI, understanding of human speech, and then providing a response back depending on what is spoken by the end user. And for the initial 5-6 years, we kind of started building the tech in and around voice AI. Now, we realized that We are getting into a mode of repeatable use cases. We are serving to multiple different Indian enterprises back then, running a company which uh, was doing okay in its own time. But deep down, we always wanted to build a product-based organization, not a services company which is making these custom applications, using deep tech, but still custom applications. So 2014-15 was a time frame when we sort of pivoted the company from a services-based company to a product-based enterprise. Now, listen to this words pivot, and it will come multiple times in my talk. 2015 was a time frame when we pivoted the organization from a services to a product company, then from a product to a SaaS-based product enterprise in 2016. So it was back-to-back pivots in 2 years, which kind of drained us in a big way. But that also paved the path for us to really scale the organization at a very different level altogether. Come 2017, 2018 was a time when we sort of went international. We believed that the capabilities that we possess, and after delivering voice-based tech out of a complex country like India, which has multiple languages, different dialects. Dialects change potentially every 100 kilometers in the country. The language changes constantly as well. If we can deliver such thing in India, then we can potentially deliver similar stuff outside India as well. And that was a time when we moved ourselves international as well and continued to grow the business in India too at the same time. That was the third pivot of going international. And then we kept on adding product capabilities, technology capabilities, until the realization came about 3-4 years back that we are building so many interesting stuff around AI, around deep tech. Why can't we transform this into a platform play where you have all these technologies like voice AI, vision AI, emotion AI, knowledge AI, and these are some of the tech that we developed or acquired over the course of last few years. We kind of transformed and pivoted ourselves to a platform-based company. And then as the market would evolve, right, today Uniphore is working with large enterprises globally, 1,500 plus enterprises across 20 plus countries, delivering its entire enterprise AI platform, and with a focus on employee and customer experience. Now, you have heard this word pivot multiple times. I think if you look at the B2B deep tech landscape in India, this is one area where I believe our companies should be extremely capable of constantly changing the dynamics and leading the way themselves. What worked in our favor was the 3P scenario. The first P was being persistent in a way where you just keep at it, and at the right time it will work for you. The second P that worked for us was the patience part, right? And that patience continued to pay us rich dividends over the years. And the third P that worked for us was pivot. And we kind of kept that dynamics constantly going, right? We were patient about our long-term goals, but extremely impatient about our short-term goals. What has to be achieved this quarter has to be achieved this quarter. It cannot move to next quarter. But what is a goal for 3 years? How much do we want to grow as an organization in terms of people, in terms of revenue, in terms of market growth, etc.? We got to be patient about it at the same time. Persistence played a big role. Now, when we started back in 2007, 2008, cloud was non-existent. Understanding how voice can play a part for a system to understand what a person is speaking was also very nascent. And enterprises using this technology for their own benefit was more of an evangelizing role for us to explain them, train them, coach them how some of this tech can work. Fast forward to 2015, 2016 timeframe, what really helped Uniphore is that we kept at our game, but inflection points started coming across. All of a sudden, cloud was available, which basically means that the back-end tech capabilities, which requires a lot of processing capability, was suddenly available. The inflection point of enterprises using some of this tech also came into being. Of course, world in the West is much ahead in terms of its tech acceptance compared to other parts of the world, but that sort of phase started taking its own turn in India as well. And the third inflection point was the end consumer leveraging AI and voice as a capability was also shaping up fairly well, thanks to the Amazon Alexa and Google Voices of the world. We did not have to go again back to the end user and explain how will you talk to a system and how it would respond back. So some of those things started working for us. But what really played part in our journey was the persistence. And we kept innovating our organization constantly, right? Now, if you look at the current landscape, the B2B deep tech SaaS enterprise landscape in India is fairly an exciting zone at this point in time. In the last 5-odd years or so, the deep tech B2B enterprises have filed about 1,400 patents. And that shows that we are thinking about new age innovation. We are thinking about things that has not been done before as deep tech companies. But the challenges would still remain. Now, within these deep tech companies, if you look at the capabilities that they are there, 54% of these B2B deep tech SaaS companies today leverage one of those deep tech capabilities. 54% of them have used AI as a capability. About 30-odd% have used predictable big data analytics, right, as the capability. About 9-odd% or 10% are looking at conversational intelligence and intelligent automation as the capability. But somewhere or the other, most of these B2B deep tech AI companies in India are using some of these capabilities. But we are again hitting a roadblock at this point in time as enterprises on how to consume some of this tech. Now, the biggest challenge that we have seen as we have maneuvered ourselves in the market is that when we were selling about 2-3 years back, our go-to buyer would be, or the sponsor would be, a business leader. A business leader who would focus on revenue upliftment for the company or a cost optimization or, customer experience. But all of a sudden, the CIOs and the chief technology officers of multiple different large enterprises have been told by the board, have been told by the leadership that we have to leverage AI. Because if we don't disrupt our own capabilities, if we don't disrupt our own processes, we will be disrupted by someone else. Someone else will come and take our business share. So we have to use AI. Unfortunately, most of the CIOs and the CTOs don't have an understanding how to use AI and what capabilities can be impacted immediately in their own business ecosystem so that they disrupt the business rather than someone coming from outside and disrupting their own business model. That's where Uniphore is playing its large part. But again, it talks about the agility that we have to move ahead in our own game. You cannot constantly be working on the same business model, which potentially can go out of order, but you have to reinvent yourself constantly. And the B2B deep tech AI companies today face 3 challenges largely. And this is something that, ma'am, you highlighted, which is trust, talent, and tech. Right? If I look at talent today, 80% of the B2B AI companies today is facing a talent issue. And it's natural. The world has moved all of a sudden into a very different era of AI. We are talking about OpenAI and ChatGPT. We are talking about Google Bard. We are talking about tons of other AI companies who are coming into the fray. And how does India keep itself up and awake constantly will require its investment into skilling our tech folks with new age technologies like machine learning, like AI, and other deep tech capabilities. And like at Uniphore, we constantly work with a lot of academia, right? Be it association with IIT Madras, be it association with tier 2, tier 3 colleges across the country and beyond, not only India, but institutions in Japan, institutions in Switzerland, in US, in Israel. We constantly work with academia to come up with requirements where the students can be taught very early in their own curriculum how to nurture that talent capability, right? So that's one area that, of course, India is facing a shortage, but it is our responsibility as companies to nurture that. And recently we opened our India AI Innovation Hub right in Chennai here at IIT Research Park with with a vision that we will have this as one of the largest, tech center in the AI with the AI focus across the globe, and we are working with a lot of enterprises as well. The second issue is tech, right? And when I talk about tech, it's the infrastructure availability. Gone are the days when we are talking about CPUs anymore, right? The world has moved to GPUs already. Right, you need those kind of capabilities on cloud to be available. So does your tech, comply with the new age infrastructure that is available out there for you to take full, benefit of those infrastructure capabilities, be it using microservices of large, hyperscalers, or using core processing capabilities of GPUs, etc. So your tech has to sort of be aligned as well to take full use of what is available out there for us to use, right? Uniphore, at our juncture, we were working very, very closely with someone like NVIDIA, and recently we announced our partnership with Qualcomm as well, and we are working with them with their own processors and elevating our own capabilities as well at the same time to ensure that, Uniphore keeps ahead of the game. And other B2B AI companies or B2B deep tech companies should follow the suit, in my opinion. The third and final input, of course, is trust, right? One has to follow the safe and trustworthy capabilities in the market. With the advent of new cybersecurity challenges that we have, data moving to cloud, how do you ensure that you follow all the compliances as a product? If you are dealing with companies which are large enterprises, they will demand all the compliances. They will demand data security. They will demand BCP, DR, etc. And one needs to sort of ensure that all those things are put in place. Finally, to all the entrepreneurs out there, I think it is important to think global. Yes, you are starting a company out of India, but we have this tremendous ecosystem outside India as well. In a way, I believe that back 10, 15, 20 years back, we had this issue of brain drain, right? But in a way, 15, 20 years hence, it is actually helping us in some way or the other. When you go outside the country, you find all these leaders who have learned through their experiences working outside India, and you can garner so much knowledge through them and start working with them outside India as well, who would understand your cultural nuances as well. And my 2 cents to all the entrepreneurs out there would be to think global, but when you think global, keep 2 things in mind. One, that it is the founding team who has to raise their hand and say, I'll go, rather than someone else in the company goes, because this is a big step. The second thing, which is very, very important, is to be sure that the capital is available to go outside India. The capital requirements are very different. Your marketing outlook needs to be very different. Your aspect of how do you reach out to those large enterprises has to be very, very different. What works in India will not necessarily work outside India as well. So learn through those experiences, reach out to folks who have done that in the past, but ensure that the founding team takes the lead, ensure that you have enough capital available for you to do that as well. With that, I would like to conclude today's input, and thank you so much for your time and listening me. Happy to catch up beyond this in case you have any inputs for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would request Ms. Sangeeta Gupta to felicitate Mr. Ravi Saraogi with a memento. Thank you so much for sharing insights on how deep tech savviness can help companies go global. Thanks a lot, sir.